Inherit and By Design, Build Your Own is basically intended for a configuration experience for potentially a different user. So if you kind of think about how typically configuration might be used and might be used for you today, a lot of times it's used internally for, configuring orders and creating your manufacturing work orders and things like that. With the channel sales, with the By Design channel sales application, that allows configuration to be extended out to sales reps and dealers and distributors and contractors. And so what Build Your Own really focuses on is it kind of focuses on another audience that might have needs of configuration, which is sort of like maybe the end users of the product, maybe consumers or whoever that end user might be. So because of that, Build Your Own needs to have a pretty simple, graphical, intuitive user interface, and so you'll kind of see that. And it's also designed to be, again, a kind of a simple configuration experience. So again, based on who the end user is, some things have to be kind of a little more simple. So as part of that, there are a couple of different ways that you can use Build Your Own. It can focus on giving the end user information about the product and product details. And so, again, this is trying to kind of educate those end consumers on your products, as well as potentially how your product works in a typical scenario. So a couple of different ways that this product, that Build Your Own, is being used by our existing customers. Typically what Build Your Own is it's linked right off of your website, where, if anyone that happens to hit your corporate website, if they need access, if they want to learn more about your products, you might have an area where you say design your own, build your own, right? Investigate more about the products, and that'll launch into the Build Your Own application, with the end result then being, after the user has learned more about the product, you might have various options for what their next steps are. And so those include potentially letting them find a dealer or a retailer or something like that, maybe to request a quote, basically kind of taking them through the next steps of how they might go about purchasing the product or learning more about the product. So just some of the benefits, we'll just go through this real quick, and then we'll kind of see as I walk through the application. But it's certainly designed to generate sales leads for your products, to educate your customers on what options are available with your products. It does kind of facilitate the communication between your customers and, again, whoever your sales channel is, whether it's direct sales or maybe through dealers or distributors. And you do also have the ability to capture some of the customer information. So again, all that data is stored in the database, and it can be mined to see what users might be interested in, different options for your products. Okay, so that's about it from that perspective. So what I'm going to do is basically kind of walk through a couple of different samples of Build Your Own. So again, as I mentioned, it is typically just launched from your corporate website. So what I did here is I just have, if you want to think about this, maybe this is our corporate website, which happens to be blank, but it's going to have a button on it somewhere that says, launch into, whatever. Again, build your boat, build your product, design, what have you. So when I click that, it's basically, let me refresh the screen here. When I click that, that's going to launch me into the Build Your Own application that you see right here. And so there's kind of two steps in here, but the first step is basically to allow the customer to kind of navigate around different products and see what products might be available. So again, it's meant to be pretty self-explanatory, easy to use, kind of no real training involved. And so as you notice, I start off with maybe a type of product, and we've got different boat examples as the first one we're going to talk about. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick the Express Cruiser. And as I pick the Express Cruiser, it then basically takes me to the next series of selections where I'll go through and do that. I will just kind of mention for today's presentation, some of the images are kind of high resolution in this particular case, and so sometimes through the GoToMeeting, it might take your screens a little bit longer to refresh than mine. So hopefully it's not too bad. Mine are obviously refreshing very quickly, and I'll just try to make sure that yours catch up as well. So anyway, after I picked the particular product I was looking at, it might allow me to select different product lines. So again, in this particular case, I kind of have a variety of different product lines for that boat, and I can select one, and then basically it's going to take me into the details of that particular product. So again, the first part of this is basically just kind of a simple navigation to see what products are available. Now, what I should kind of mention is that everything you see really in Build Your Own is sort of a framework to allow you to kind of get started quickly, and then it can be tailored. So this is certainly meant to be tailored to kind of fit in with your website. So everything can be branded. It can have your color schemes. We use style sheets for all of that, and it has a lot of flexibility for what type of options that you want the user to be able to do. But basically, once the user has selected a particular product, it's then going to kind of bring up, if you will, the configuration screen and allow the user to learn more about the product and kind of be educated. So this is basically the configurator now. Right, so now I'm configuring that particular product. But again, one of the goals was to make this interface really simple and easy for anybody that happens to hit your website to be able to go through and make selections. So we tried to simplify everything. And so what some of our customers have done that are using this is they may have built kind of a simplistic rule set just to drive this Build Your Own experience. One of the things that you may notice is we actually kind of have the questions over here on the right-hand side and allow the user to navigate through the different options. And then we have our image on the left-hand side where the user can see that image. And again, so there's a couple of ways that Build Your Own can be used. Build Your Own can be used with static images. So as the user is selecting options and different choices on the right hand side, just like in the configurator, it can drive those static images and kind of update the user so they have a better representative of the product that they're configuring. Now what we have, another option in this is if you have the need to provide more sort of dynamic images, Build Your Own also has the ability to kind of incorporate the Flex Render, which basically this option has. So it's kind of all wrapped together with Build Your Own and the Flex Render, but basically as the user makes a selection, we can dynamically update that image and it can be sort of driven real time. So again, I'm not sure exactly how fast all of your screens are updating, but as I select the classic color band, it's going to automatically recolor this particular image based on that. If I select a different color, maybe instead of navy, I'm going to go down and select red in this case, it'll dynamically build that particular product in that color. And again, I can go back and select maybe the two-tone option, and I can see what it looks like with red in two-tone. And I can basically make as many different options or selections as I want. There's a little accent stripe color that maybe I'll change that to black. So just a quick point about that image on the left-hand side is with the Flex Render option, that is basically starting with kind of like a high-res photograph and then real-time dynamically changing options in that. So these images basically don't exist ahead of time as far as all the different colors and options. We really kind of start with one image, various parts of it are zoned out, and then we can change colors, we can change fabrics, different options, and we can also add options and remove options. So when I select the wakeboard tower, it basically puts that in. Right? So hopefully you start to kind of get the idea.